Ah! Doesn't look like it's in the game anymore. It's been replaced with something else. Yeah, it was resolution, resolution. I don't remember. I don't remember what it was anymore. That was a long time ago. Earth of the Lich King was a long time ago. Really was. I honestly wish I had started doing stuff like this back then, because I was constantly doing duels. I was constantly PvPing. I would have had a lot of content. Raids, doing raids, although the raids are really crappy. My groups really weren't that great, to be honest. We never really finished much. But again, I didn't care that much. I didn't care that much about PvP or PvE because I cared more about PvPing. So the fact that my raid group, which I was mostly raiding with my ex-wife at the time, she was my wife at the time. She is now my current ex-wife. I guess she'll always currently be my ex-wife now unless I remarry her, which is never happening. But that's really kind of beside the point. The we would PvE together. Couldn't really get her to PvP, but we had a roommate and we PvP'd. We would specifically PvP together, and he would play a priest to keep me alive as long as possible, and I would just go buck wild on my really geared warrior, and we would be so difficult to kill. We'd be able to do some silly things. There was a couple times where we were playing Warsong Gulch. I'd run in, YOLO, grab the flag, pop all my defensive cooldowns, walk out, and he's like, "Dear Lord, there was like 12 people in there. If I had tried to do that, I would have died in seconds." It's like, right, well, now I gotta wait 5 minutes before I can do that again. It's like, other than that, other than those things, I don't really have a lot of defenses, which is kind of odd because I'm a warrior. Warriors were very odd creatures. I don't know what the state of a warrior is right now, but back then the warrior was a very odd creature because the thing is every class except for the warrior had magic. The only other exception to that was the feral druid, but their bleeds hit so hard and there's nothing you could do about it. It might as well have been the same thing. Like you couldn't do anything about bleeds. You could certain classes with magic you could barely do anything. Like to fight an assassination rogue with Envenom was extremely difficult because Envenom ignored your armor, and that was the thing about warriors versus most rogues is that your armor made it more difficult for them to actually kill you. They actually had to go through the process of tearing down your armor first, then trying to burst you down, making the fight a lot longer than it actually would. An assassination rogue, on the other hand, with a fully stacked Envenom, didn't have to worry about that. Envenom ignored your natural armor and allowed them to just kill you. Assassination rogues were monstrosity. I'm sure they still were. They were actually the reason why subtlety got buffed eventually, because subtlety really just didn't do anything for the longest time. It just didn't. It was you were stealthier, but you didn't have anywhere near the damage output that you would need as a rogue. But the to fight an assassination rogue, one, you had to figure out how to slow them. So you had to build up enough rage to do the AoE yell that dazed everything, which I don't remember the name of. After you did that, because they were probably sprinting, a good rogue would have been sprinting from the start to make it difficult for you to be able to hit them. From that point on, they're going to spend their entire time trying to stay behind you. Once they built up in Venom, they really weren't going to last long. However, Venom, counting as a spell, was reflectable. If you were really good at timing it, and you could almost basically have a sixth sense during PvP, you could actually reflect in Venom back onto them. There was a couple times I killed rogues where, and then, well, not necessarily killed. This was during duels where it's a lot more difficult overall. But rogues always kind of started out the same way. They either a garroted you so that you were silenced for a while and that bleed started to work on your health reserves, or b they stunned you so that they could get some extra time. From there, they would sprint. Once they were sprinting, they'd spend their entire time behind you, uh, hitting you with mutilation to build up points so that they can envenom you. Like, literally every time. They would combine sprint with the evasion so that they could dodge everything. And that's basically how every single duel with an assassin, or just a rogue in general, kind of plays out that way, but specifically assassin rogues. So you knew that there was going to be a certain period of time after dueling assassin rogues enough times, you could feel, or you knew, kind of like in Call of Duty, it's like you know exactly how many bullets it'll take to kill a person based off of muscle memory and experience. If you once you play it long enough, all right. Let's go. I guess we'll go do this one. So, same thing with like dueling in World of Warcraft. You know, based off of muscle memory, when the rogue is going to try to envenom or execute you. Now, the question is going to be whether or not you were able to time spell reflect in a way that it would actually deal damage to them instead of you. And if you did, it was amazing. Yeah, it's like, oh hey, I'm sorry, you killed yourself. Literally, you literally killed yourself. How did that even happen? You look at the damage report and it's like, I took X amount of damage from it in Venom. That doesn't make any sense. It's like I spell reflected it. It counts as a spell. In terms of mechanics go, I don't wanna. I wanna talk to this person. Level 13, and you don't get anything anymore. Some of the things that they changed to the game to make it simpler, or however you want to say it, is just not fun. Like, not getting anything till, what is it, like level... I get something next level, I get Thunderclap next level. Cool beans. Shield Charge, that's new. Short distance to your target, increasing the damage of Shield Slam, Revenge, and Heroic Strike. Interesting. They did actually add some new abilities in that I'm not aware of. Dive with the Sword. Let's see. What else we got? Hamstring's my favorite. You use a macro to put that into the same button. You create your own button with charge. So you can't charge with when you're in a certain distance, right? You can't charge within, was it 3 feet? 8 feet. So you know that if I spam charge, right now it's on cooldown, but I'm standing right next to him. If hamstring is part of the same button, it's going to use hamstring because I can't use charge. There's a lot of tricks like that. Let's see. Spell Reflect actually had one that I had a macro that equipped my shield, changed me to shield defensive stance because you couldn't cast it unless you were in defensive stance. I don't at the time, if I remember correctly, as well as casted Spell Reflect all in one button push. Actually, I think it was two button pushes because the first button push would equip the shield. The second button push would actually reflect it. So you could kind of prepare for it a little bit. Like it was a little different. What? We'll go over there. Huh? It's cropped. You can't. They won't see you. Are you gonna really? No one's even watching. I'm just talking to myself. Huh? Wait for. Hmm?
I'm packing.
Yay, packing.
The movies are in one box.
Okay.
Which one?
Wait for it. There it is. She was afraid of the camera. She didn't want you to see her. She didn't want nobody to see her. It's alright. It's because she's black. No, really. Her hair is everywhere. A little baby tree. A little baby tree. Alright. Little baby tree dead. So, Fan, I really need you to, like, calm your tits. Okay? The whole squeaky fan thing, really not working for me. Okay? Okay. Ah, man. So, we are hopefully... What am I missing? Do you see this on the map? I'm standing on it right now, so it's not really helping. What am I? It's just part of the map, I guess? Okay, that's fine. Alright, bring it. Bring it. Like, quests like this used to be so hard. Like, it really did. Like, you couldn't deal damage fast enough, and if you were a certain class, like, you were not going to be able to finish this by yourself way back then. Now, and it was one of those things, like, you could be proud of there were certain quests that you could be proud of completing yourself because they were that difficult. Now I got like this little crappy training stick in my hand, and I'm one-shotting these guys. Reminds me of like other games that are free to play. Now this game technically isn't free to play. I actually think Blizzard did a really smart idea. One thing Blizzard has always had, at one point in time, this account that I'm playing on right now was worth about $3,000 on eBay. I could probably have gotten more if I went through the trouble of actually doing a few things, such as getting 100,000 gold, then selling it. I would have been able to sell it for almost $1,000 more. But the whole idea behind Diablo 3's auction house, live world auction house, was because Blizzard has always had this issue of other people selling their digital property. I mean, you used to be able to sell items from Diablo 2 on eBay. I mean, there were certain items that would sell for like $300. And then you did like a digital file transfer. You sent it over to someone. And people would actually buy this stuff. It was a very rampant issue. Like, it was consistent. People were always doing this. So, the fact that Blizzard tried to come up with a system where it was impossible for you to do that. I mean, while at the same time allowing them to make the money. I mean, it made it possible for you to do it while at the same time allowed you or allowed Blizzard to make money off of it as well. I think it was a great idea. I think they need to revisit it. I would like to see them try to perfect that particular idea. I don't know how that needs to, I don't know what they need to do for that to work. It is something I've always wanted in a video game. It's like I would love to be able to sit here and play a game like this or Elder Scrolls or something where I can actually buy and sell items in game for real world money and make a living off of it. Like I could literally pay my bills by doing that, and it would also give us, it also give everyone who does this right here, streaming and stuff, more reliable income, more purpose. Like they would actually become businessmen inside of a game model. You could think of it like that, maybe? I don't know. Let's go touch some taints. Gotta touch that taint. So, there was a lot of things, a lot of research, a lot of time, a lot of practice that I put into this game. A lot of tips and tricks that I learned over the course. And, you know, some things I learned from guys like Swifty and Rectful and all, you know, all those big name players. But I wasn't on YouTube, so you know, I never really. At the time, I didn't care to become a professional gamer of any sorts. I didn't. I did want to be. I did want to do YouTube. That's for sure. YouTube was definitely a thing I wanted to do. I just didn't know how. I didn't know how to go about it. I didn't know what I needed. I didn't know how to set that up or anything like that. But I was constantly, like, I was watching all kinds of stuff. Like, it was this whole idea of streaming started with World of Warcraft. I think it's actually quite fitting that I'm considering returning to World of Warcraft now that I know more about streaming, more about the entertainment value of creating something online and providing it to someone else as a means of entertainment for themselves. I mean, I enjoy doing this in general, and I've always enjoyed the PvP in World of Warcraft. Even though you talk to some hardcore PvPers, they will actually tell you that this is not real PvP. Well, I mean, it's sanctioned PvP. There's a difference between world PvP and sanctioned PvP. Yes, this is a world PvP map. Yes, I have gone out and griefed some people by just walking into their lower level area and just wreaking havoc and making like 3 or 4 of them to come out and try to kill me, and then I still kill them. So they call in a giant squad of max level geared characters that to finally eventually kill me. I've done that. That is not something, you don't play a game like this and not do stuff like that. But I don't really care about that kind of PvP. That's the type of PvP that like Elder Scrolls Online. That's I mean, it has, it's sort of sanctioned, I suppose. Like, you have to be on the PvP map specifically before you can PvP in Elder Scrolls. But once you're there, it's basically open world PvP. It's just on a very, 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 very big map. Very big map. Think Alteric Valley times 10. Like, literally Alteric Valley times 10. That's Elder Scrolls PvP. It's not the type of PvP I want. And then the type of PvP I want in Elder Scrolls is actually gated behind a DLC that I can't afford. Or at least not yet. And then, and then, you are relegated down to 8 ability slots. 8, period. Now, if that ability slot is taken up by a lowly passive, so be it. You have sacrificed a piece of utility to increase your damage.